Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Songland reaction for the Florida-Georgia line episode. This is a weird episode because it's sort of like you're doing country music, which I don't know extremely well, but we have a very popular duo in that genre. And then it's sort of like the Canadian invasion episode of Songland, where it's like 3 out of these 4 people were all Canadian.
Yeah, and it was really strange to me because outside of like Shania Twain or Rita McNeil or Anne Murray, there's not a lot of Canadian country. Like, even when they were like, oh yeah, the Canadian country scene is really popping, I was kind of like, is it?
Yeah, you're Torontonian.
Yeah, I'm from Canada. I lived there pretty much my whole life. Country music, not really a big scene. I mean, we had an artist from Muskoka. That's not really a big scene for that. We had someone from Pickering. Definitely not a big scene from that. Guy out from Vancouver. The Vancouver country scene is not a thing. It was really interesting.
They took an interesting road to Songland, to say the least, and we'll talk about all the songs, though. The winning choice, Griffen Palmer's Second Guessing. Gee, what a surprise. But before we get in, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. Quick little mention here for those of you who saw The Voice tonight. One of the original songs in that is actually from Songland earlier this season with the lady Antebellum.
Yeah.
So, Songland, doing
cool.
work. It's the crossover we didn't know we were getting. But here we go.
Okay, so before we get into the 3 people that we went through, I want to take a minute to talk about Victoria Banks' song, That's a Country Song. It was interesting, this song, and I'm not here trying to bash her, because when I first heard it, I was like, okay, this is kind of grooving. I'm kind of liking this. This is all right. And then the more that I heard it, there was a lot of just country tropes that were put into this song, and then it was like, and that's a country song, but there was nothing really threading it. So I kind of understood when they were like, yeah, we're not into this, because it's almost like if I was making a song that was called That's a Canada Song, and I was singing about, I'm going to a hockey game with all my Mountie friends, and we're sipping on Tim Hortons and eating poutine while Drake is singing Oh Canada. That's a Canada song.
Some of that actually sounds pretty fun, but no, it is the...
But that's sort of what it felt like.
Yeah, I
it
know.
felt like kind of, I'm going to take all these country tropes and stereotypes, I'm going to put them all in a song, but there's no purpose behind, I'm drinking whiskey and wearing a cowboy hat and on a pickup truck, and I was like, where's this going?
Yeah, and I think there has been this sort of tendency for people within the country music industry to think, oh, we need to have something about a truck, you know, fireworks, a hat, a dog, like but it's kind of evolved sort of past just that, especially over these last 10 or so years. So I just, especially with Florida Georgia Line, who have actually had some hits that I have heard on radio that is not just country radio, I don't think they really wanted to limit themselves, and I think this is ultimately a part of why they choose Griffen's Second Guessing, which the moment that they sort of commented on the, hey, your title is kind of tricky because it's not what you think. It was like, okay, you guys are going to pick this song. Can we just stop the episode now?
Yeah, no, the title was really cool. And I love that it was something that you weren't expecting, and that sort of feel to it. And even as I was continuing to listen, I was like, yeah, it felt like it was getting more and more clever every time I listened to it.
It's a really good song. Like, legitimately, like, I actually can see this song being a hit. And maybe we've said that like 2 or 3 times this season, but it actually felt meaningful. It feels like a song that would get a lot of play at country music. I know one of the big country music tests for me is, can I see it played at school dances for the next 5 years? And I think the answer here is probably yes.
Well, it's interesting you say that too, because This song really sounds like an Edwin McCain song called I'll Be, and other people might know it as I'll Be Your Crying Shoulder. And if you go listen to that song and then you listen to this song, they are very similar when it comes to just the music of it. I was really surprised because as I was singing this, second guessing, I'm like, I feel like I'm singing something else. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm singing.
I had not thought of that until just now, but now that you've mentioned it, yeah, I can see there's a lot in common these two songs have. But hey, I'll Be was a really big hit, right?
That's what I was saying. Yeah. That song played at all the school dances. So, I mean, yeah, huge hit. Definitely something that has some staying power. And second guessing feels like that as well.
This was one of those episodes where it was sort of like Griffen had to go in, change maybe like 20% of the song. Versus we had Sean and Luker, I hope I'm saying Luker correctly, but they felt like they changed like 50 to 60% of their songs.
Yeah,
if
they did.
They had different titles, they had different looks. By the way, Luker looks like a guy who just like emerged from a cabin in a mountain and he came down to present a song.
Yeah, I was more surprised that he wasn't from Vancouver because I've been to Vancouver a lot and that's definitely the cool, like, there's just this cool vibe about Vancouver. And when I saw Luker came out, I was like, of all the people who are not Canadian in this group, it's Luker. And he really feels like he's got that super cool West Coast Vancouver vibe.
He feels like he just got done snowboarding and was at his cabin drinking like artisanal tea. And then he was like, all right, I got to come out here with this song. Which, by the way, we have to talk about the introduction here. Is it a good move to enter Songland and be like, I'm not really a country music writer? That would be like me going in to apply for a job at a restaurant. It's a seafood restaurant. And you're being like, you know what? I'm really more of a steak guy, but I'm here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Coming in and sort of talking about that, and then your song is about failure. It was kind of like a match not made in heaven from the get-go. As much as I liked him, like I said, he has a cool vibe. I liked his song, but it just felt like this was not the right fit.
This guy's like celebration after he ended up advancing, he was like getting on with his bad self. He was like moving around and just like, I was like, I'll have what he's having. Like this guy's a party. If nothing else, he should be on a Songland episode. For I don't know. Can we bring back LMFAO and he can party rock with them?
I did like that he did write a song about failure because that isn't something that's really touched on a lot. And there was a lot of love songs. I mean, Second Guessing is about love, and love songs of course, they're timeless, and you could make a million love songs and they'll all be great, sort of thing. That feeling of, oh, we've all been in love, but we've also all faced failure. And I think that was a really interesting idea to kind of touch on, sort of you can fail, but you can get past it as well.
I really kind of liked his second version of the song. I think this is really a case of, this was good. It's just, it was up against sort of the Since the Last Dance is on, the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan of Songland songs, where there was no chance it was ever going to beat it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Second Guessing, as you said, as soon as they were like, oh, that's so clever with the wording, I'm like, oh, they're going to jump all over this because it is so clever. Like I said, it also kind of has that very similar, the music sounds like I'll Be, which was a huge hit, and it's changed just enough to make it its own original thing. I think there is something here.
And I think with Sean Astin, this song eventually becomes the lean on it. This was a song that I think had at least some potential. I think the hook was all right. It's just sort of the question of memorability. It's like we're recording this a couple hours after we watched it. Can you really remember more than like one or two things about this song?
I really can't, because all I'll have is I'll Be stuck in my head ever since this episode aired.
I'm sorry, Sean and Luker. You do not pass the I'll Be test. And with that, no, I think it was fine. I just think if you were Florida Georgia line, you've got like so many like big country hits at this point. And I kind of think of them as sort of a party rock country group, which is probably why Luker was brought in.
Yeah.
Because they do a lot of upbeat stuff. I think they were just like, this is a slower song that appeals to us. It's going to appeal to our fans. Sorry, Sean. And you're like, this dude, he looks exactly like a country singer who used to play baseball.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he is like big and buff. He's got like the button-up shirt. It's like, okay, I can envision your entire life story right in front of us.
For sure.
Well, that concludes our take on the Florida-Georgia line episode of Songland.
It was pretty good. I liked seeing a bunch of Canadians in there representing.
Yeah, it was a very good episode for Canadians.
Yep.
I think a pretty entertaining episode in general. Like, Florida-Georgia, they just seem like a good time. Like, it seems like you could just, like, hang out with him and them, and they would have some fun with you.
Yeah, and they're very creative, so it was a lot of fun to really get to know them better.
For some reason, one of them kind of reminds me of Jared Padalecki. I don't really know why. I just sort
can
of
see
feel
that.
like after they're done recording their song, they're going to get in the Impala and go and fight some demons.
That's
but
right.
Anyway,
That's their second job.
That's their second. They're starring in the Supernatural reboot. But what did you guys think about this episode of Songland? Be sure to share in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.